Huh?
Phone will vibrate.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
How you like my show? Hey, good morning to you. Listen to OZZz on Smash Bros Radio. I am fortunate because I have two fantastic breeders, and I'm really excited. Let me get this one. Don't forget tonight, end of summer, Southern Edition. Joe Bars is over at the Onyx tonight. It starts at 9 to 1, so please come out and enjoy yourselves. So it's end of summer tour with Joe Bars over at the Onyx tonight from 9 to 1. So make sure that you stop by and see them. I'm excited, and I'm going to take this off of us right now and put it on you. I apologize for putting you on the spot, but
Oh no.
I have a special co-host, then I have a special guest, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself and then get into what the whole picture of the thing is. So go ahead.
Absolutely. My name is Amanda Nixon, and I am relatively new to the bully game. So I have one adult male, and I was brought into this through a series of friends who actually have been involved in this community a lot longer than I have. And I have a production off of Mary Scribner out of Oklahoma, which is simply Khaotik Kennel. So I am
Sweet.
so I'm part of that family. And then I actually became part of this Alabama Power Bully Connection through DeJuan. So that it is truly not just a community but a family. So it's been kind of a learning experience all around.
So with you being relatively new,
Mhm.
you have raised champions and a dual champion, correct?
No, so Adonis is actually we're working on his campaign right now.
Okay.
But both of his parents are champions. His mother's actually a dual champion, two different registries.
Sweet. Now, when you say dual champion, what are you saying?
So his mother is actually registered with more than just the ABKC. She's also UKC, and so she's actually championed in both.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, from what Juan has educated me with these certificates
Mhm.
or these awards,
Mm.
that allows you to charge more because of the bloodline, of the lineage of the
It does a lot of things. So one, yeah, it does increase the value of the dog in and of itself and all the services therein. Obviously, if
Right.
it's either the male or the female. But what it also does is it bolsters your program's identity, their credentials really, because you
Correct.
are a producer of champions. So you take great pride in that because you've worked really hard to get to that point, and you know that that will be part of that legacy that you
Right.
leave. So yeah, it's definitely a big part of what we do.
Right. And see, this was one reason why I wanted to do this, because like we were speaking earlier, we were talking about people have these thoughts about Alabamians. Now, and some of them might be true. We will accept some of it, but the majority, 98%, we're not stupid. We
No.
know what we're doing in most cases.
Mhm.
And so when it comes to any profession, we're going to do it and we're going to do it damn good. And in most cases, probably do it better and set the example.
Lord willing. Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
so that's one reason why I wanted to bring as many kennels, so that way not only showcasing your program, but also showcasing the program of Alabama Power Bully Connection, because I think that it'd be wicked to see a caravan of breeders and kennels going over to different states
Absolutely.
and showing exactly what Alabama has.
Mhm.
And then what I'm finding out that Juan has taught me too, you're scientists in a way, because when you go to these different states, you've seen the type of breed that these other breeders and kennels have that you can add to yours. So it's so like you were saying, it's so like networking.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Oh,
connecting.
absolutely.
So, and plus two, it's the camaraderie as well as the family. Because with you coming in new,
Mm-hmm.
there's possible some things you don't know, but if
Oh
you
yeah.
have a family that's ready and willing to give you whatever you need, that's half the
Oh,
battle.
it's invaluable. Like literally, it is these. You have so many resources, one way or another. No matter what you need to know, if there's something that you feel like you're, falling behind on, or if your program's lacking, there's always at least one person in this bully community that it can be like, oh, I can help you with that. I know exactly what you need, or try this versus that. So it's just a wealth of knowledge. It's a beautiful thing.
So you came in by accident or because of you really wanting to know exactly what's what?
Part of it's it's part of the design ultimately.
Okay.
So I've had a history in dogs in a general sense, especially even with bully breeds, with pit bulls and Amstaffs being most of what I dealt with much earlier. And because of that love and because of that passion for bully breeds as a whole, when I moved here, I actually met some friends who they actually elite, or I think it's Elite Production Kennels. They showed me their dogs, and I just fell in love with the American Bully.
Right.
They have XLs and I think one standard, and I mean, I just fell in love with the breed. So at that juncture, he didn't have anything on the ground, but he did have a friend out in Oklahoma, which is actually my neck of the woods. I'm from Kansas
Okay.
originally, so he was just like, "Oh, I have this friend who was ultimately married." um, he's like, "I have this friend. She's got puppies now, and they're beautiful, and they have a similar bloodline to mine, which are the ones that obviously, once again, fell in love with." So pointed me in that general direction, and I mean, I drove 13 hours to get that dog. It was worth it.
Wow.
It was worth it because I knew what I was getting, and when you love something that much,
Right.
you put
Now,
everything into it.
the dog is it a female or male?
Oh, male. Oh, yeah.
And do you still have him?
Oh,
Now,
Adonis?
so he's
Oh, yeah.
what is he, the great granddaddy, or he was the one that started your line? Is that the proper term?
That's her first dog. Yeah.
That's my baby.
Wow.
Yeah. He's the beginning. Yep.
That's sort of like, and like you was saying, that's sort of like raising a baby because
Oh yeah.
because you started. Well, it is a baby because you started grooming and raising and all of that.
hmm Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I brought him home. He was 16 weeks old, and he was lanky and derpy, but full of promise.
And see, that's another thing that Juan taught me too. When you go, you pretty much have an eye of exactly of the characteristics that you
Yes.
want to add to your bloodline.
Hmm. Oh yeah, and I knew that he would be a good baseline because he had a lot of the attributes um, that I've always really, really enjoyed about, a lot of the different bully breeds, because this is a conglomeration of a lot of different breeds.
Correct.
It's makeup is, not just, pit bulls and Amstaff, that was
Yes,
the
ma'am.
original foundation, but then they added bulldogs to add the mass, different various types of bulldogs.
Right.
So, he had attributes that I was very, very attracted to, and I thought, would make a really, really good um, foundation stock for, an
Right.
ongoing program. Are there a few flaws that obviously I'm like, oh boy, that is a really long torso, or oh boy, that muzzle could, lose, a quarter of an inch, absolutely. But at the same time,
Right.
these are all things that you can easily breed out of your program, or that aren't technically faults, because he's still placing in all, the shows that he goes to. So
Right.
obviously these aren't like flaws that are disqualifications of any kind. They're just
Right.
not my preference.
And see that helps too. That when
Yep.
you have, I guess, terminology, an institution or a place that you can go to that have the rules, the regulations, and all, instead of now we can do it. We can Google everything, but it's more of a convenience that if you have one source that you can go to, and behind that source you have individuals that want to help you.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like I was saying, just like with any profession, the pie is big.
Mm.
It's how much you want to make of it. Now, if you want to make well, cool, you do whatever you want to do. But if I want to go further, I can. So it's no really competition except when we get in the ring,
Ooh,
of course.
yeah.
But when it comes
Yeah.
to our kennels ourselves, we have the same love and understanding. And that's the thing that's most important. I love the breed. I love the individuals that breeding. And so you can give, I can give, and we can come together as one. So then that way, when we have a newer individual coming in, because like in all professions, you're going to have those who just see the money.
Mm.
They don't understand the time and energy
Exactly.
that you have to put to get what you have.
This isn't like investing in the stock market. That's the thing.
That's it.
A lot of people are, they get into the game thinking that it's a money game. I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like from start to finish, you're looking at, and there are other people that I know that are trying to get in, and they're like, oh, I'm going to buy my first female, and man, I can't wait. There's so much money in this. I'm like, ooh, what about that? you know, I mean, we're talking 10 grand a litter without breaking a sweat from start to finish. And it's just like a lot of people don't understand. It's not even just that, but it's the time you have to invest in the dogs themselves. It's the
Right.
care, it's the concern, it's the research. Oh my God, the research. It is, you're not just investing your money. You're investing your time, you're investing your emotions, you are investing, oh my gosh, your integrity. I mean, because you are
Thank you.
intertwined with this program. People are going to not just see the dogs, they're going to know who owns that dog.
Correct.
And, they're going to take a look at how ethically you breed and, how you've established your program, how you've perpetuated it. Do you adhere to the breed standards? Do you try to improve upon those, or do you create little gremlins? What is
See,
it?
people don't see that.
Mm-mm.
They don't seem to understand that you're scientists. You're
Entrepreneurs.
technically, I mean, you're everything, because just like you're saying, you're putting your time, your energy into this, and it's fun, but at the same time, you want to make sure your integrity is intact. You want to make sure that your merchandise or your product is intact. That when people see Simply Chaotic Kennel or 1888, they know, oh shoot, we know who these breeders are, and we know that we're going to have quality.
Mhm.
And so, see, that opens the door too, and that's one reason I appreciate everyone coming in to understand that when you get a bully, understand the characteristics of that bully.
Mhm.
Understand that if you're not athletic, you don't need to get a dog that's going to be all over the place, because that's what the dog is bred for. He's active. He's going to, and so you have to wear him out so that way he doesn't wear you out when you take him inside.
Oh yeah, a good dog is a tired dog, I tell you.
So, and then two, you want a dog that's going to fit your characteristic. So if your characteristic is meek and mild, you do not need an aggressive dog,
Mm.
because that the dog is going to pick up on your personality too, correct?
Correct.
Oh yeah, they definitely feed off their environment. Sure.
So see, with all of this coming together, hopefully it will provide some type of insight. First of all, you need to research and find out what type of dog fits your family,
Absolutely.
what you want.
Okay.
Now, I'm a French bulldog. I just need a dog that sits in your lap, that would follow me around like a little puppet or whatever. I don't need, I don't need,
You don't need a micro horse.
I don't need a micro horse. I don't need butter. So,
Oh, you don't?
No,
Everyone
no.
needs a little butter in their life. Come on.
Because see, what you see on the screen and what you see on Facebook does not represent butter. Butter is a big dog.
Oh yeah, isn't it?
Now,
Well, and
she's
so is
beautiful.
So is her father. I
Yes.
remember the first time I saw
Because you
Dez.
brought
I was like,
You brought the mama and daddy,
Yeah, I
didn't you?
bought this the first time. Yeah.
Man.
seeing that dog in person is just one of those things where you're like, you didn't understand the breadth of it. You're just like, you walk
Right.
in and you see this Goliath of an animal,
Thank
and you're
you.
like,
I was like, no, this is not the type of dog I love this dog, but I would
Right.
do this dog an injustice.
yeah, right. This dog can get fat on my watch.
Because your dog is an extra XL. Is that-
He's an XL. He's an XL.
Mhm.
so that means that he's as big as.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think Butter has a little bit more girth on her than he does. We're still working on him because I don't work him, like I don't do a lot of like any kind of like minor weight training or anything
Right.
like that. He has a backyard that he gets to run in, which is great.
Right.
So most of his work is actually just cardio. But yeah, we're starting to work him. So he's starting to develop a little bit more, and he's starting to broaden out a little bit. So it's beautiful to watch him evolve. But
Right.
it takes work. It doesn't. I mean,
because that they only see the end results.
mhm.
They don't understand that when you start in this, you have to love it. You have to have a passion for it.
These
But
dogs
at
don't
the
just wake
same
up like this.
time, you have to understand that you have to make sure that they're healthy.
Mm.
You
Mhm.
have to make sure that they're getting the exercise that they need. You don't know the many hours that you haven't slept
Ugh.
because you told me about the welling.
Yeah, the
that-
whelping.
The
The wel-
whelping. Ugh.
I just thought you just throw a blanket down and you
No.
no, that's not it.
Oh no.
No.
Oh,
You
oh,
I'll
no.
tell you more about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
This gentleman
Yeah.
here.
So-
oh my gosh.
So you actually have to build per se or establish or create a place. And then on top of that, you have to understand your dog well enough that you taught me this, that they can't be nervous.
Uh-huh.
They have to be as relaxed as
Oh,
possible.
yeah, stressful. Oof,
Stress,
man.
the
Yeah,
stress.
stress can cause compulsion issues. It can cause them to harm the puppies. It can cause them to basically almost not reject them per se, but to
Right.
almost forget that they're there. So
Okay.
it's yeah, you don't want to stress mama. You want to put her in the most quiet, off to the side place that you can still get to easily, where she has access to move, and the puppies are able to be safe and
Right.
warm, especially. But yeah, and it's a lot of sleepless hours.
And the vitamins and stuff that you
Oh,
have
the
to.
supplements, yeah. And you gotta do that from start to finish.
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
and they can't, like, you've got to actually, like, it's a process. So you can do certain things more so, beforehand,
Right.
and then during the whelping process, you got to change it up a smidge, and then after the fact, they end up with endocrine alopecia, so like their hormones are just completely off kilter, and so they're
Right.
losing fur. We call it blowing the coat. Like they're blowing their coat, and so now, and they're getting calluses everywhere, and so at that point, you got to change it up again to
Right.
try and help regulate everything and get them back to get their bounce back.
See, people
quickly and more healthy.
people don't see that.
Uh-huh.
Mm-mm.
Again, they
It's
only
easier not to, isn't
and it's easier to say, "Oh, I can do this." Well, fool, you haven't seen what you have to go through first. You only see the end result. You see the puppies. You
Yeah,
don't know
ain't they
what
cute?
Yeah, they're beautiful.
All those wrinkles.
But you first of all, you don't look at the paws. Paws are
Mm.
huge, and I was taught that earlier. If you want a small dog, don't get a dog with huge paws,
Mm-mm.
because what you see now is a lie. Because that's not what the dog's gonna
So
wind up.
deceitful.
You gotta,
So
you gotta
deceitful.
grow into them paws.
That's it.
Mm. Yep.
So it's a whole enterprise. And then with that enterprise, when you have individuals who are willing to help and know the importance that it only, it takes you about 10 to 15 years actually per se, to build your kennel, to get your reputation, sometimes less. But at the same time, when you have a breeder, and I use that term loosely, when you have a breeder that does not understand the concept and only see the money part, well, then they're going to look at the negative and say, well, you're the same way. And now you're going through this whole thing that, no, I'm a breeder.
Not all breeders. You know?
Right.
Absolutely.
I'm a breeder. I don't know what this is, but I'm a breeder.
I can't speak for this
I
guy.
can't speak. So when you have an organization or an institute like Alabama Power Bully Connection, you know that anyone who is part of this is pretty much on the level. Now, of course, you're going to have some, but 98% of the individuals that are part of this, you understand that they know the process. They understand the process. They understand the assignment.
Yeah,
and they're going.
Exactly.
And so
they better. I mean, but
yeah.
That's the one thing that I do find that has been really, really refreshing is that in this particular community, this Alabama Power Bully Connection, like, is we hold each other accountable. We hold ourselves to a standard, and it's one of those things where if we see that somebody is sort of just kind of slipping off, we, you know, as a community, we swoop in, and because we want them to succeed. Because if they succeed, we succeed. And so it's one of those things. If we find that they need help, then we're going to get it to them, you know.
Right.
Or if they're kind of going into a direction that obviously for the breed as a whole, it's kind of, you know, black mar. You know, we're like, we don't want to do that.
Right.
You know, we make sure that we communicate that and help as much as we can. You know, without, you know, alienating or condemning anybody. You know,
Right.
we want the best for the breed, but we also want the best for the breeders in the state.
And see, that's it, because it really is a partnership.
Uh-huh.
It's really so. It's just like with me belonging to Smash Bros. Radio. I know that with me belonging to Smash Bros. Radio, what I used to, well, I didn't do anything, but if I were to do anything that would be questionable, and people knowing that I work for Smash Bros. And I have a morning show, was not only going to affect me, but it's going to also affect Ralph and his legacy.
Mhm.
So that's one reason why I have to make sure that when I'm out in public, that I'm representing not only my show, but also Smash Bros. Radio. Because what took Ralph all these many times to get to here, stupid action can all of a sudden bring a blemish. And that's the same way it is with Alabama Power Bully Connection. You want individuals that, listen, you have a responsibility. Now, you're independent, yes, but you're on the umbrella.
Mhm.
And so there's a certain assignment or a certain way that we expect you to act. You can still be independent, of course, but still you're representing not only your kennel, but you're representing the family of Alabama Power Bully Connection.
Oh yeah, our conduct is paramount. And the thing is, you know, there's an integrity to this breed that we have to. I mean, we have to be not just breeders, but we also have to be advocates, and that's something that, you know, we don't want people to lose, you know, lose track of. So we try to keep each other kind of on the straight and narrow in that regard, and you know, because we're not just advocates for the breed to other breeders, we're also advocates to people who, you know, aren't familiar with the breed or still have those. You know, they have this negative view of it based on, you know, breeds that were used to make it up, you know, to create the American Bully. So, I mean, you're still going to walk down the street and people are like, oh, that's a really big pit bull. I'm like, oh, about that. One, totally different breed. Two, he's super friendly. Let him sniff you, you know.
And see, that's one thing, too. This is not a pit bull. This is a bully.
This is not a pit bull. That's right.
Two different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I may belong to the Carter family, but I'm really a Humes, okay?
Right.
So it's the same way. And see, that's one good thing I like about the Alabama Power Bully Connection. You're doing shows, you're sponsoring shows, which in turn you're introducing exactly what the bully is all about, and then you're having these kennels coming together. And even though, like I say, it was one umbrella, each kennel has its own personality and philosophy.
Yes, its own identity. Mm-hmm.
Identity, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own identity. So that adds to the flair of the Bully Connection.
Definitely. We got to keep it spicy.
You got to. You got to, because with the many breeds that are under the umbrella, there's certain aspect, and then with you coming from Kansas, you're bringing a different philosophy to Alabama anyway. So I'm not saying it was a culture shock when you came from Alabama to Alabama, but
That's a playful euphemism. Yeah, no, it was a bit. Yeah, it was a bit much.
so so with
I
that,
got it though. I got it.
you're bringing something extra too because you see things that, and see, that's one good thing about traveling to the different shows to the different states, because you're getting their flair, and if you see their flair can add to yours, it's only going to improve your breed, improve your program.
Yeah, absolutely. Improving everybody's program is improving the breed in a general sense, and that's very important to remember.
Right. So when you were the simply chaotic kennel, you're the family up. So you brought that kennel down here to Alabama.
Proudly, yes, definitely.
And so from there, and you and the your son that you brought down, what is his name? Your dog.
Oh, Adonis.
Adonis. So Adonis has started everything. So he's the one that's laying the foundation for everything to come.
That's it. Yeah, he is my foundation male.
And see, I'm learning the technology because I'm finding out that when you talk to individuals and you're using the terminology that is familiar to your profession, people have a better understanding what he knows what he's talking about, or she knows what she's talking about because she knows the terminology. So when you start your first dog, whether it's a male or female, is called the
Foundation.
The foundation.
It's your foundation stock.
Your foundation stock, and then from there, would that be the second generation? Because the first generation
That is your first generation because you bought the first two dogs. You bought them, so that's not your production.
That's
So
that
you only
first
get
gen.
your first production when you first produce your first litter puppy.
Oh, hold up, I'm getting slow. Okay,
Here we go.
Okay,
Here we go.
Okay. So the first generation really isn't your production.
Correct.
That is yours and somebody else's. So the second generation,
That's your production.
that's your production.
Mm-hmm.
Get out.
Yeah.
So Adonis is Mary Scribner's production.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because she's the one that produced him.
Mm-hmm.
So from her program, and so me bringing him here makes him a foundation, but I have to wait for him to produce for that to be my production.
And see, that's what I'm finding out from wine too. You don't all of a sudden, just because something comes into heat, you breed them. You don't.
Oh Lord, no. Oh,
if
mercy.
you're professional, if you can, but if you're professional,
I was about to say, yeah, it's an ethics game. It really truly is.
Ethics.
It's ethical breeders. They're a different breed in a general sense than just breeders. Like to do it ethically, yeah, there are certain guidelines. There are certain time frames you need to wait for certain things. There are certain things you need to take in consideration, and you can definitely tell the ethical breeders from just breeders.
Introduce yourself, because we're getting into an area that you are an expert in. So then that way we get a better understanding.
Okay, so Octavian Walls. Everybody calls me OJ. I'm the owner of Beautiful Barks. I have Beautiful Barks grooming in a kennel facility. I'm 14 years in the game.
Wow.
So yeah, it's
So you know the ins and outs, upside down, tipsy topsies.
well, I know a lot of the ins and outs.
Okay.
The game is constantly evolving, so
Okay.
a lot of times you still have to, you never know everything.
See, that's what I'm finding out, that with the bully connection, you're constantly learning.
Yeah, it's constantly a learning experience because, the bone structure, the different genetics, everything changes.
Right. Because that comes to your program, correct?
Mhm.
That
Yes.
comes to your program because, let me get these words right. Your foundation
Yes.
is the beginning. That's why you call it the foundation.
Mhm.
And then the second generation, well, from the foundation, you get a pretty good idea of exactly what you want or what you're looking for. And so when you go to the different shows, or when you see a certain characteristics from another that you want part of your program. So what are the pros and cons? Is there a certain breed that you don't breed, or is there some, is
Me
the
in
word
particular,
ethics?
I don't do quote unquote, some people call them exotic, but the pocket, I don't typically breed those because of, a lot of the health issues that come
Right.
along with them. And I'm just not a fan of them as far as like the structure. You have like the breed itself already has like a history of hip dysplasia, crypt orchid,
Yeah, I forgot.
different breathing issues. So, like cleft palate, things of that nature. And so when you're doing the exotic, you're breeding them smaller, you're putting more muscle mass on a dog that already has a history of maybe hip dysplasia,
Right.
elbow dysplasia. So of course you're actually increasing those that that history and that chance
Right.
of that. A lot of people have to do like the artificial insemination, C sections, all of that come into play. And so it's just not really. It's I wouldn't say it's not really healthy on the dog, but it's a
Right.
lot stressful. Having a mother dog that one you had to do like a surgical AI on,
Right.
then you turn around having to cut her back open to do a C section, and that stress and everything in that whole like in that first 72 hours, she may shut down. And I wouldn't say
Ooh.
reject the puppies, but she's not as keen to the puppies.
Right.
So within that first 72 hours is your make and breaking point, especially breeding like the exotic or the smaller bullies.
Right.
So I mean that's the making and breaking point of any breeding, but definitely with those it's a lot of complications.
See, I forgot about that. You have to know the history
Yes.
of the dog.
Uh-huh.
Are there any type of defects or anything?
Uh-huh.
So I like to do DNA.
Oh,
DNA
yeah.
testing
Yeah,
is
Right.
like
it'll
a
tell you
is,
everything.
is a plus.
Now, when you do the DNA for a feline, is that the same way as it is for a human? Is that the same process?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they're looking for health attributes or physical traits, but also different health
Health
conditions.
issues, yeah.
So it kind of gives you a better idea of what your dog not just they don't just have that trait, like they don't exhibit that trait, they carry it.
Carry it.
So
it
they're
can
not
be passed down to
affected
the
by
puppy.
it,
Yes.
Yeah.
but they carry it, which could also be given to their
Pass down to the
offspring.
puppy, yeah.
And so you'd want to make sure that, like, if, for example,
Wow.
like if you knew that your dog was a carrier of some sort of issues, I don't know, with maybe the heart, they're not affected by it. They're perfectly healthy, but they're
Right.
a carrier. What you would want to do is you'd want to make sure that when you breed them outside of your program, that dog is also DNA tested to ensure that they
They
don't have.
that same,
Right.
they're
that
not carrying
same-
that
yeah.
same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like sickle
Yeah.
cells, then.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's one of the biggest like health issues that I notice with the breed is sarcoptic mange, which is like it's like a form where with it like food allergies and stuff like that, it
Mhm.
lays dormant. So certain food, certain like environments that your dog is in, it breaks them out. You can
Wow.
use different medications for it. And a lot of times, flea and tick meds actually cure it, so it lays dormant. Well, however, when you're having a litter of puppies, the mother's stressed out. Those puppies, she's passing on to those puppies.
Mm.
Those puppies are not old enough yet to go on
Oh,
things
wow.
like Perfecto and
Mhm.
things of that nature. So you'll notice those at an earlier sign. Like it's easy to fix certain issues like that
Right.
once you do a DNA because like you can actually see all of that.
Okay, you know what
Right.
you're dealing with.
So that adds to your program too.
Yes.
That so is when you have, I guess it's called receipts or paper,
Mm-hmm.
that when people come to you, and if you're a professional breeder, these are the things that you ask. Or do you have a? Is it?
DNA
Do you have a
test.
DNA
Mhm.
You
test?
have a health certificate.
Health certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And if by chance, well, if you're wise and if you want to continue, if they don't have that, well, then I can't do anything
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
because you're putting your program
Yeah.
in jeopardy. You would want to think that you can trust them, but in business, there's no trust.
Right.
You know, I can love you. Love you with all my heart. We raised since whatever.
Right.
Has nothing to do with friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because you'll run into a lot of those breeders that are just breeding for the money or just breeding for the title to become a breeder. Every breeder has a different agenda. So just because you're breeding with integrity, you can't expect them to breed with integrity as well.
Right.
So I've had it a lot of times where I'm doing whelping service for people, and then you may have like 2 or 3 co-parents on a dog. This person has their own agenda. This person has their own agenda. So a lot of times those co-parents are not even coexisting with each other,
Ooh.
which
Forgot about
can which can cause not only stress between them two, but they can actually stress the dog out. Because you have this person wanting to come visit, they're putting off this energy. This one coming to visit, putting off this energy. So guess what? We put off hormones that dogs can smell. So the hormones that we put off, they can tell our vibes. They can tell how we really feel about them. They can tell our mood. That's why a lot of them are perfect service animals, because they know what we're thinking. They know what we're feeling. So let's just say you got one breeder in here just, oh, I can't wait till these puppies get bigger. I need to sell them this, that. You got one of the co-parents feeling like, oh, yeah, they're more compassionate, like worried about the dog, more concerned about the dog. That dog is going to gravitate to that person.
Right.
But, however, I may be the main owner of the dog, but I'm not as compassionate. I just want you to have these puppies. I just need them to get ready so I can sell them.
Right.
So that dog being in my care most of the time, and if I'm that one that don't really care about the dogs, guess what? She's going to project that energy off to those puppies.
And then in most cases, it's going to affect the puppies to where all of them aren't going to come out alive.
Well, not only that, behavioral issues.
Oh, yeah, behavioral.
Because some of the issues are hereditary, and some of them are learned behavior issues. That first 6 to 8 weeks are the prime.
Oh, they're sponges.
One more time. What now?
It's like I said, that first 6 to 8 weeks are the prime. So some of that behavior is bred, it's genetically, and some of it is learned behavior. It's just like with people.
Correct, right. That's why I don't know why I'm shocked.
They're mammals also.
Right.
We have the same genetic makeup.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, we have formative.
Because see, if you're not a pet owner, you don't seem to understand. With my mom spends over $1,000 because her dogs have allergies.
Oh,
and everybody says allergies.
Oh,
yeah, they have allergies, and each one of the dogs have a certain food
they
they have to eat.
To this, or this one's allergic to that.
And
only,
so, Mama has a schedule down to where she knows to put Maggie's down first. We lock up Russell. Russell's hungry all the time. So we know to feed Maggie first because she has a certain food that she has to take. Russell, we wait real long, as long as we can for Russell, because he has his only food that he has to eat. Now, if Maggie doesn't eat all of hers, Russell's going to get it. So, but people don't seem to understand. Pets are like humans. And I've never seen Maggie get her feelings hurt, but went over there Saturday, and Russell has taught Maggie to jump all over the place. Maggie never jumped. So it's Russell.
Exactly.
So Mama screamed or hollered at Maggie, get down. Maggie was hurt. She held her head down, and Mom was calling her.
She's not used to getting yelled.
And she looked over there. I was like, Mom. She said, yeah, she doesn't like to be yelled at. I've never seen Maggie like that. So when you was telling me about I was like,
it's true.
It's just like with anything else. They feed off of you. And that's one thing I learned that when I see there's 2 pit bulls that like to roam where I live. Scares me to death. But I understand too that if you're scared, you don't want to. So I pretend like, everything's cool. I know where you are, but everything is cool. And so it all comes.
It's a fear hormone that you're putting on.
That's it.
They can smell it from up to a quarter of a mile away.
Get out. Oh, yeah. Now I'm going to be scared for real now.
No, just be cool. Just be cool. Yeah.
Because you taught me that when it comes to the whelping, that you have to make sure that everything is secure and calm.
Yes. It has to be calm, because the cleanliness, calmness. You don't want to even have to be careful with what you clean with, because certain smells will make the mom. It'll trigger her. Like it's really, really like.
See, people don't seem to understand that. You don't throw a blanket down and say, "Here you go. This is what."
Because whatever you washed it with, those scents may send her into
certain. You have to wash. They like whatever when you whelping them on, you have to wash that in a certain detergent.
Yeah, like free and clear.
You can't wash that with you wash your clothes.
I always
it's like
do
with allergies
peroxide
and-
and water.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Just like with the allergies. And a lot of people, when you're whelping too, you want to make sure that environment is clean. That's just like when you first start in your kennel. I notice a lot of people make this mistake. They'll move to a new place or get a place. Oh, this is a big backyard. It's perfect for kennels. It's perfect for this. Get all these kennels, set them up, get the dogs, spend $20,000 in dogs, put them in the backyard. They haven't treated the yard at all.
Exactly.
Then you got dogs dying of parvo. You have, all different.
Man.
Yes. You have like coccidia, different things, because you don't know
yeah.
who had what in that yard before you. So different bacteria infections, all that. So there's your investment going down the drain. And then the first thing they think of is, oh, they sold me a sick dog.
No.
Yeah, and you're sitting there thinking like, except for
The dog
it
was
was
sick until you
fine.
moved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
the
The
dog
dog
will
was
get
fine.
sick
It's
when
an
you got him.
it's an acclimation process. It's just like with buying a fish. When you set up a fish tank, you have to acclimate them to that
To the
water.
water. Yeah, you
Same
can't
thing
just
with the
throw
dog.
fish in
You
the
have
water.
to acclimate them to a new environment.
Oh, see, I done opened another door and made my head hurt.
Aw.
Okay, so you started it.
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
This is all your fault.
So we're talking, because I never thought about the environment in which you're building your kennel. You're building your business. So you have to take that all in
All that
consideration.
Everything is a
Yeah.
consideration.
All that plays a part.
Oh, my head hurts.
Even with how far you put the kennels apart.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
all
what?
that
absolutely.
plays.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Even all that plays.
Having them off the ground. All
Yes.
that plays a part.
Everything, like the location, where
Where-
they're at in the yard, where the people
where
can
the sun,
see them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Where
amount
they-
of sun exposure those
Yeah,
kennels will have in the yard.
not
all
only
of it.
just sun
All of it.
exposure, these are the things you have to worry about.
Yeah.
See,
You have
I
to worry
would
about
just be
sun
worried.
exposure, exposing them.
Mosquitoes.
Still
flies.
proof.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that too.
yeah.
Still proof. Because
Sit-
people
like
see
setting
them.
water, all of it,
Is it
yeah.
easy for someone to get access to my dogs? Everything has to be like perfect.
Because see, when I didn't think, because the only thing I thought about was, of course, the sun. You can't have them in the sun. And then I was thinking about the drainage. Make sure you can't have any water or,
No setting water.
Yeah, no
water or
setting
muddy
water.
or
Yeah,
anything like
stagnant
that.
water, man.
Then you
Mosquitoes.
come up here telling me now you got to, if you move, you have to make sure wherever the
That's a
kennel
whole new
is
set
that
of-
it's
yeah,
prepped and
it's
it's
a
set
whole new
up.
set of
Yeah.
allergies too. I mean,
And
it's
And
all
the out,
And it's
My-
it's the type of fencing I'm using. It's the collar's gonna get caught on this type of fencing. Or my dog's gonna try to get out and hang themselves because they have a certain collar on. And it's a lot of things to it. Are they gonna try to dig out and get
'cause they're
stuck?
big up under the gate.
And are they
Because
gonna
they're
snap their
dogs.
neck?
because they're dogs.
Are they gonna snap their neck because they're big and they're trying to get out with power, and then they stressed out because they're stuck? And I'm away from home.
and especially if they come into heat.
Oh Lord.
Oh yeah,
have
that's
mercy.
You
a whole
have to-
other price.
that's a whole-
nother case of
Man.
And
problem
see,
right there.
I'm only
You got,
thinking
you
about
gotta lock that
elementary.
dog up like
Yeah.
Alcatraz. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like nothing.
You do.
No one's
Because
going near this.
Even with outdoor kennels, when a dog come in heat, you have to worry about different street roamers because they're gonna find a way. The
exactly.
street
To
dog's
get to
gonna
that
find a
dog.
way to get in there.
To that dog.
And
yeah.
I've seen dogs breed each other through
Through
the
the
kennel.
Stop
Through
the
the gate,
madness.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
They'll
it's a real
figure
thing.
it out.
Mhm.
They'll figure it out.
Oh yeah, chain link isn't going to save your girl.
Yes,
from
no.
from those roving dogs. It's not.
So
Absolutely.
my best advice: if you take her outside, stay out there with her.
Mm-hmm.
And it only takes 5 minutes.
Yeah, because you go in the house, get something to drink.
Oh, that's
come
what we
back.
call a quickie.
Yeah.
yes.
That's exactly what it is.
They do the same thing.
Yep.
In and out. And you be
And
like,
then
what
they
just
stuck.
happened?
Yeah,
They
like,
sit
I
there for a
literally
while
just went inside
stuck.
for one
Yeah.
drink. Like I went inside to go get a drink, and then literally I come back outside, and my dog's been defiled.
And I notice a lot of
devoured.
mistakes that a lot of breeders make when their dog goes in heat. They feel like, okay, just because this one dog bred it, okay, they stuck to that, so I can let it around my other dogs because
No, they gonna
he's
keep
already
breeding.
daddy.
They gonna
no.
keep
Dogs
breeding.
can have multiple dads.
Exactly.
Mhm. It
They
is
keep
yes.
breeding until they
Each
hit
puppy
over.
can have a different dad.
See,
Your
Artie,
facial
so
expression is fantastic.
thank you. Because see, I know that I couldn't be an administrator because my mouth would get me in trouble. I know I can't be a librarian because it's too mundane and I'd be asleep most of the time. I can't be an accountant. Now I know, and I can't be a bondsman. I tried that. And anyway, now I know for certain, ain't no way in hell I can be a breeder. Because now you've made my head hurt.
a lot of factors.
Because now you start all this shit.
But it's all
Because-
about having people like
Yeah,
this
and
around
see,
you.
that-
though,
see,
you know
why
what I'm
we have
saying?
each
See,
other.
that's why it's most important that when you start something, that you have the arena, that you have the expert that's going to help you along the way.
Mhm.
That when you have questions,
Mhm.
and now your credentials are wide because not only are you a pet stylist, but also you know veterinarian stuff too.
Yes, I am a licensed veterinarian
See?
also. I'm a licensed breeder. I've been breeding, like I said, 14 years. But there's no way to know everything.
Right, and it's a learning process. But when they know that you're licensed
Mhm.
and you have the background information as well as individuals, it makes it. And still, I'm not still going to do it. I don't care how even though I know who to go.
You're like, I
There's
value
no.
my sleep.
Yeah.
I value my city.
Yeah.
Now I have to
Oh,
treat
yeah.
my yard, and then on top of that, just because I have a damn fence, I got this damn whore roaming the street trying to get my bitch, trying to get her pregnant.
Yes.
Can get her pregnant.
Yeah,
between-
watch out for those two
Yeah.
pit bulls you said
Yeah.
that were in your
Yeah.
neighborhood,
Oh, yeah.
sir.
They're going to be the first ones right there.
Uh-huh.
And they
You're
can
like,
breathe
"This is
between the
normal."
fence, and it only takes 5 minutes. Man, I have no.
Yeah.
And then you have, you established your program,
Oh, yeah.
so you have this purebred,
Mhm.
you have this lineage, you have this, and here comes this little
Mess it all
stranger
up.
from hell.
Just
Fucking
mess
Mess it
your
all
whole-
up. Yeah.
Mess your whole
You
life
got to
up.
get that whole little away. Anybody
Wait,
want free
hold-
puppies?
Yeah.
you have to.
Anybody
that's
Yeah,
right,
you
want
pet
free
home.
puppies?
I mean, you literally
You
you
can't
pet
put
home.
your name on that.
No.
Nah, you can't put your
Now,
name on that.
once she's had the litter, and that litter is gone, you can
Start from
You got
square
to
one.
start over again.
Yeah.
stop the madness.
And a lot of
Yeah,
times, if
start
that's
over
your
again.
first generation you're working on,
You fucked. I mean, you messed up.
you don't have you didn't have a first generation.
Yeah,
You got to
literally,
start
yeah.
all the
You
way
gotta
over.
start over again.
Yeah,
So
you
you
have
done
to-
waited
yeah.
those 18 months to 2 years
Mhm.
for nothing.
So you have to build a Fort Knox when you have.
I'm telling
When them
you,
females in
yeah.
heat, man,
Uh-huh.
you got to watch them.
Because I know that from friends and all, it seems like, especially when you're in the country and you have a female that's in heat, you see dogs from,
Oh,
They
we're
can
in the-
travel from up
Yes.
to 2.5 miles away.
It's
Yeah,
They
can
can
crazy.
smell it.
They can smell it.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
all
your own
kind of
dogs are
dogs,
barking
exactly.
and crying. Like
Exactly.
you'll see a
Exactly.
behavior from your male
Yep.
dogs that
They
you
stop
have
eating.
never
They
seen.
stop
They
doing all
have
that.
you up to
Uh-huh.
3-4 o'clock in the morning, like you hearing them
They're
howling.
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 Yeah.
Yep.
You're like, wait a minute, like it's
Yeah.
that process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you lose sleep
No.
even if you're not whelping puppies because when
Right.
that female come and eat,
Because your
The
male's
boys
losing his
gonna go
mind.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
literally, I
losing
bring
his
my
mind.
when my females go and heat, they sleep in the room with me with the door closed.
Mhm.
I'm gonna make sure
Yeah.
I make sure no
yeah,
who I want to get you is going to get you.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
no,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
So, oh my.
and you still have to watch that female too, because they'll go looking for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, so
They get
she,
to a
So you
certain
just
time
yeah,
that
yeah,
she
yeah,
Her
got-
hormones
Yeah,
are
she
on
gets to a
10.
certain point where
Yeah.
she
She's gonna
just
go
want to
get it.
get away.
Yeah.
She want to get away.
so you're not only worrying about these strangers, you have to worry about her because she's
Uh-huh.
hungry too.
Oh yeah, she's
Or
Her,
horny,
her
whatever.
hormones are
Yeah, and they'll
off the
flag.
chart, right?
So
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah.
start flagging. Once they start
They just
flagging,
basically
Mhm.
saying,
you
"Huh,
really
come
gotta.
get it."
You really have to watch it.
There's some more
So-
terminology for you.
Yeah.
Flagging.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I noticed.
That's when they shoot their tail up.
Yeah,
Right.
they
Push
start
it out
shooting
the
the
way.
tail up.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the
Push it
little-
out of the way. They're
the
like,
little
hey,
Tunchi go up in the air.
yep, let's go.
Yep.
My
It's
God.
time to party.
Yeah, they little JJ go up in the air so they can get the right angle for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's flagging right
Making
there.
it easy.
Yeah.
So I'm not only going to have to worry because if I'm a professional
Mhm.
and I want to make sure that I'm producing quality, not quantity, but quality,
Mhm.
and I'm falling under the guidelines of what a bull is all about, there's a whole volume of stuff you have to know. Not only do you have to prep the grounds in the place in which you establish your kennel, but once you start that foundation, you have to get a DNA certificate
Mhm.
to make sure of whatever that dog has. Because again, this is business.
Mhm.
So you can't take the word of somebody. Well, they've had this. No, I need the certificate. I need papers showing documentation, especially when you lay your foundation.
Well, actually, I'm gonna stop you real quick. on
Okay,
that. Sorry.
please.
But actually, when prepping the ground, you also need to make sure you're zoning, because with bullies,
Oh.
they're not approved in a lot of
Exactly
areas and a
right.
lot of
Thank you.
neighborhoods.
Right,
Mhm.
right,
Mhm.
right.
So you may prep this ground, get everything ready, get all these dogs, and then Susan next door or Mary Ann down the road seen him while she was going out to the mailbox, and she called the police because she feared for her life.
Karen.
And
Exactly.
I mean, you
Yeah.
and she calls the police because she feared for her life. Then you have the Humane Society that I'm not gonna say that, but because I was gonna say that don't normally catch like the strays. They they just deal with the actual people.
Mm-hmm.
They'll come, give you 3 to 5 days, business days, to have them moved from the premises.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if I have this down because I'm kind of slow. So before, if you want to be a breeder, first thing, and especially if you want it at your house, make sure that your place is zoned for that breed, for bullies.
Yeah, breed specific legislation is a
really it, and they are. I don't understand why they're so strenuous about it here in Alabama.
Judge Judy.
It's like it's just crazy how they are obsessed with it. Like they are really obsessed with it here, as far as like different areas that they're supposed to be.
So you start finding out, or you zone to have the bully.
Yes.
And then from there, then you start the prep work. Then from there, you get the DNA because you already have your dog that you want to start your foundation. So it's the zoning, then it's the prepping of the kennel or the grounds of the foundation where you want your kennel. And then you want the DNA because you've already spotted out or you scouted out what you want to start your foundation with. And then once that's not even 98% of anything. That's just about 1%. So then after you do that, while they're going through the process of birth, you also have to make sure that they go to the veterinarian, make sure that the shots and the vitamins.
Prenatal.
That's what you told me.
It's a prenatal and a
postnatal. Yeah.
It's just like a human, just like a
you have a post process too.
You can't give them the same supplements and vitamins before and after because they have different needs now.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
They have totally different needs now.
You just adding more food. That's like
you have you have different calorie intakes, everything to help to produce milk. You have it's way
because you got to look at you might have 12 different lives inside of that one dog. So
and then all of them have a different appetite.
Exactly.
Because you have 12 personalities
inside of that one dog.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember with Butter and the Rut.
Exactly. Because same mom and dad, two different
personalities. So see, I can't be a bondsman. I can't be a librarian. Can't be an administrator. I definitely cannot be a breeder. And especially with the money. You know, the thousands of dollars that you.
Yeah, because you have to structure that.
But honestly, if you love it though, you don't really. I mean, if you love it, you really don't pay attention to it, right? Because you know, okay, at the end of the day, this is a part of my family. This is one of my family members.
Oh,
right,
you know
right.
Definitely.
So as long as the problem gets solved, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, Octavian, I call him in a minute. Hey, bro, before I even go to a vet, I'm gonna call him first. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I can get some of my advice from him before I even go spend that money.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? He'll say, hey, bro, you can do this instead of going to spend this amount of money doing that.
Because I always push preventative care. Because the location that I'm in now, I'm not big enough to actually do a full veterinarian clinic.
Right.
However, I'm looking forward to it.
That's what I was going to ask you. Were you going?
Yeah. Eventually, since I moved from Mississippi, it was restructuring here.
Right.
And now that I have everything solid here, I'm thinking maybe in the next 24 months or so, I should have my practice up and running. But like he said, once you fall in love with the dogs, you never notice.
Right.
Because I didn't notice I was doing my taxes. I was like,
you look back at it.
I was like, wait, I spent $19,000 on dog food.
And you don't even know.
I was like, wait a minute, like
you be like, I made that much money.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
But here's the trick. Yeah, here's the trick though. Is just like if you're doing it ethically and you're doing it with great conduct, you're literally. The money that you make, a majority of it goes right back into the program. So in reality, these people that have these aspirations of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make all this money. if you're doing it ethically, you're
'Cause
not
you
really
always worried
seeing that
about
money.
Yeah, you
You're
worry
putting
about
it
the
right
next
back
meal
in.
all the time.
Right.
Yeah,
You
you're putting
always
it
worry
right
about
back
how
in.
can you
The
make it better.
future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're
And
putting
I
it right
always
back into the
tell
game.
people that try to come on my level, I'm like, no. This didn't happen overnight.
Mhm.
Right.
Like, I've been doing this 14 years.
Thank you.
Like,
Yeah.
let me tell you, and I still have mishaps. Like, I just had a litter not too long ago that I ended up losing because the mom was stressed out. She separation anxiety. Her and my
Oh,
other
wow.
dog was so close together. So once I wouldn't let my other dog lay in there with her while
Right.
she nursed
Yeah,
him,
she was stressed
she stressed out. And so I ended up losing 4 puppies.
out.
The other 2 I had to bottle feed.
So now, after birth, could you allow her partner to lay with her? Or
Well, it wasn't her partner, it was the sister.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
I didn't really want her to lay in there with her because she was, she was still active with the other dogs.
Correct.
Mhm.
They're going outside,
Yeah.
coming back
Oh.
in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Dog
it's
gets back
it's
outside.
precautions that you have to take. And so I was just like, with this dog, I have her go to the restroom in a certain area.
Right.
So I can avoid that. So I can't let your sister be in here with you.
Right.
As
See,
much
that-
as it pains us both.
You just
Mhm.
added
Yeah.
another
Same
reason why I
time,
can't
yeah.
be no breeder.
Yeah, and she ended up laying on a few of the puppies because,
She
like I said,
stressed,
and then
yeah.
she was stressed out.
Mhm.
And that's coming from somebody with 14 years experience. So just imagine.
Because that's what you were saying earlier.
someone
It's a
that just
learning
did it.
experience.
It's a learning
Every
experience.
time.
Every
Every
dog
day.
is different.
Every litter.
Every
different
litter
day.
is different.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, I got this color this time. She had them and she did so good this time. I'm going to
Mhm.
breed her again. And I know she's going to do even better this time. Not
Exactly.
necessarily.
That's
Yeah.
not guaranteed.
Oh, wait. Hold up.
It's not guaranteed.
Yeah, there's no
See.
conventional way to breed. That's a common misconception. There's no
Yeah.
conventional method of breeding and whelping. Everything,
Exactly.
all a hit or
everything
miss.
is hit or miss. It is every.
So
every
that
time's
comes
different.
into the other area that if you go to a show and you see a certain color that you may want, and that's your area of concentration, the coloring part.
Mhm.
You have to go through another level because if you want to maintain this coloring, you have to do a certain breeding with a certain dog.
Genetics.
Genetics.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it's all and genetics. I mean, it's and sometimes it can be like almost playing Russian roulette with genetics because
Exactly.
you're sitting there like,
'Cause you
"Oh,
never know
man,
what's gonna happen.
yeah, I like that chocolate, or I
Yeah.
like that try." And but it
you-
comes
That's
along with
what
all
you
these
were
other
saying,
things.
'cause it
like
could
now
take 2 to
the dog's
3
temperament's
years.
not what you want, and then
Exactly.
To get this, right? But then after you have accomplished what you wanted, it doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you're going to keep it, correct?
Exactly.
Mhm.
And
Because
then you
like I've
still-
seen people that have certain colors and be like, "Oh, that dog is so hard headed. She only listens when she's looking at me. She's not hard headed. She's partially deaf.
Yeah.
yeah,
Certain,
Exactly.
certain
Exactly.
coloring
Bring out
causes
certain-
certain
Mhm.
That's
genetic
why I say
defects.
it's the good and the bad. So
Yeah.
you got to outweigh both of them. You just
Absolutely.
can't take the good from each dog and think you can
Oh,
not get the
hell
bad part
no.
too.
oh yeah, genetics
Yeah.
are.
Or they're like, it's so hard to train. It's pooping everywhere. It's doing this. It
Dog
has
can't
a
hear you.
certain. It has a certain mental.
Yeah. Dog blind. I mean,
Yeah.
dog can't hear you. So-
Dog can't hear you. Or
That's
dog
what-
partially blind. Or the
Yeah.
dog have like they mix so many genetics to mentally that dog.
It's
It
not
doesn't
a
have.
dog,
It's
man.
like an ADHD.
Mhm.
They
Get
can't
out.
function.
Yeah.
They're all over the place.
They're animals.
So that's where the
literally, yeah.
DNA certificate comes
Correct.
into play.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because you only
Oh,
see
yeah.
the outside, you don't understand what's going on
Mhm.
with the mind and all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now the only sad part is there's certain types of like certifications or testings that you can't get until they reach
Yeah,
full
certain
maturity,
years
like
old.
OFA.
Years old,
So
yeah.
OFA, like heart and
Heart,
elbows and
hips,
hips,
elbows and joints like
like
that.
you
really
can't do that until
test
they're
them.
got two.
And that's
Right.
what you were
Yeah.
talking
That's
about with
why
the
it's fully mature.
exotics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now,
you gotta be real
so is it
And-
proper to call them exotic so much like a mutant?
But
then?
some exotics, you can just look at them and just know they
yeah,
wrong.
you can look at
Right,
it. and
right.
tell.
It just looks
Right.
unnatural. Just
Yeah.
it looks
Mhm.
uncomfortable
And that-
for the dog. I mean,
Right.
you look at the dog and you're like, you feel a
It
certain,
looked like it
like,
hurt.
yeah,
you know what I'm
you're so-
saying?
you just
I went
want-
to
yeah.
a show this weekend and the
Mm.
guy set the dog on the floor. The dog feet just turned out like
Yeah.
this. And every time the dog walk, he fall over. Man, I gotta pick the dog
Yeah,
back up.
he's
he
overly
fall
front
over
heavy,
again.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So that's what you were saying, that
Yeah.
you're putting mass on a small,
small dog.
Yes.
frame.
a dog that's not structurally
Exactly.
fit.
It's
Exactly.
just like
Yes.
having a dog of Dead's weight on a dog that's the size of a
Yeah.
Yorkie.
No, the dog
It's a-
won't be able to
It's the
walk.
size-
Uh-huh.
That's
It's a
what's
recipe for
going on.
disaster. Absolutely.
So that's where, because the Pekingese and the Persian, because they're mutants, and I remember the Pekingese,
Mhm.
there was certain defects.
And that's how people, and it's crazy, with those defects in the history of the Pekingese, people in the history of the French Bulldogs, they're breeding and doing the fluffy Frenchies,
Oh God.
which
help.
are causing some of those health issues.
Mhm.
And it's actually increasing those health issues. So you're basking in health issues. And they wonder, oh, I got a fluffy Frenchie, but it only lived till it was 4.
Right.
It's like,
Exactly.
That's your fault.
You're
You're
cutting the
messing up.
lifespan.
You're cutting the lifespan
So
down
shouldn't
because
it-
you want a certain look.
And exotics usually.
So shouldn't there be some type of regulations?
Well, a lot of kennel like registry clubs do not accept those.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of criteria that registries do not accept.
Now, how do you become a registered kennel? Or is that the
Well, you're
proper
registering
terminology?
dogs, not
Yeah.
necessarily
Reg-
kennels.
yeah,
you're
You're
registering
registering
dogs.
dogs on an individual basis.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, and then when you're producing, you register the litter, and then the person who actually gets that dog, one of those dogs from the litter, then they do an individual
Register.
registration. So
Yeah, you would have to be a licensed
individuals.
breeder to be able to license an actual.
So how do you become a licensed breeder?
Well, you have to go through different state regulations, and you have to take a state board exam.
Stop the madness.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I know I can't be a breeder. Put that out
there
there.
that went again.
I'm through. I don't. Whatever
How
I
many
had,
towels have you
whatever,
thrown in
even
already?
what all the information that you give me, even there was after you said certificate. No.
And so that's why
testing. I don't test no more. I'm sorry.
That's why I tell a lot of breeders,
I did my
and
job.
some people take it personally, but I like to find out what your living experience is. I want to know how many kids you got,
Supposed to.
what type
Right.
of what type of environment this dog is going to, because I need to know what the acclimation process is going to cause for this dog.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Because with me being licensed with different registries, I have to be careful
Mm-hmm.
because negativity travels 10 times in 10 minutes, positivity
Thank you.
10 times in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
Say
let's
that
say
one more
I may
time.
say
Say that one more time.
negativity travels 10 times in 10 minutes, positivity 10 times in 10 years. I
Mm-hmm.
may sell the one dog, and he may not care for the dog properly. Let's just say hypothetically speaking, he say the dog died for this reason. He may call to ABKC, UKC, AKC, or CKC and report me,
Mm-hmm.
which will
people do
flag
Sure.
will flag my kennel. And it may not be because with this so many dogs and so many people, unless I get an attorney and I investigate it myself,
Right.
they're not going to investigate it. They're just going to go off of that report of death.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have to be mindful of who I'm selling dogs to.
The characteristics of the individual.
Oh yeah, and puppy contracts. Oh my God,
Yes.
puppy contracts.
Puppy
You gotta have a
contracts are a
contract for
must.
Everything.
Absolutely.
You need to have a
And
Right,
contract
make
because
them-
it
make
means
them
it's your
thorough.
business.
Absolutely.
You have a
Mhm.
stud contract.
I do
puppy
a-
contract. You
yeah,
get
because-
contract for
contract
everything you do.
See, I learned that on Judge Judy. So that way, if I sold you a dog,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not going to breed it, I may lessen the cost. But if you buy with the understanding that you're going to breed it,
Breeding
I'm
rights.
going to charge you the breeding right.
right.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
So it has to be in the contract. So that way, if it's understood, well, I'm not going to breed it, but I'm going. What the females are neutered or spayed?
Mhm.
Spade,
Spade.
spade or neuter.
So if
So
I
I
don't,
give them 90 days.
90 days.
Mhm.
If
Okay.
I don't have proof from a veterinarian that the dog was spayed or neutered in that 90 days,
Right.
I'm coming to take my dog back.
And that's in the
It is
contract.
in the
Mhm.
contract. And breach of contract, you have to have a breach
Yep.
of contract clause. We're talking like,
Yep.
I mean, you can designate any amount you want. Typical standard is $5,000. So
Mhm.
literally, if you breach that contract, and that's even if it's
You get the
you
dog
have
and
breeding
your
rights.
$5,000.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just
Yeah.
like whether it be a pet.
I
home
appreciate y'all
contract
coming
or-
on because
yeah.
see,
Right.
there ain't no way in hell I can do this shit.
Oh yeah, it's
It's
a
a
lot to keep
business.
track of. It's
At
a
the same
Exactly.
time,
It
it's
really
all
is.
to cover us. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you
Because
have-
like I
right.
said,
you
if
have
anything
this
go wrong, it's easy to
CYOA.
say. It's
Yeah.
easy to say,
But
hey,
see,
that
that's
breeder
why I
did
was
this.
asking you to repeat what you just said because it's true.
Mhm.
So you say 10 minutes
10 times
Those
in
are
10
10
minutes,
minutes.
10 times in 10 years. Positivity.
because, and that's it. Because it
Mhm.
can take you 10 years to get up to where you want.
Mhm.
But that
Soon as
one,
something wrong happened. In
Oh,
10 minutes, the whole
and then they can
community
Oh,
report
absolutely.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's why you have, and that's what you do.
Oh,
That's
it's-
why you have
And
to
then social
investigate
media.
who.
That's my
you
personal
send your
favorite. They
dog
go on
to.
social media
Exactly.
and then they
Perfect
just,
example,
yeah.
Will Smith.
Oh,
Thank-
right.
yes.
Slap her around the
Mhm.
world. I mean,
Exactly.
literally,
Yeah,
like his.
You
he
see how
had a
fast they
clean
travel?
record.
Yeah.
Until
Then
that
slapped
happened.
one person and
It's over
they
with.
snatched him from everything.
It's over
One
with.
thing, one mistake.
It's amazing what'll happen. Like so. You
So
gotta be real
there are
careful.
there's 4 organizations that you can register. The bullies, is that correct?
No,
Way
there's,
more than
there's
that.
yeah, there's
It's
Get
way
out.
more.
Oh yeah.
It's way more
But the
than
more
Oh, yeah.
reputable ones.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the word.
Yeah, reputable and more prestigious.
Because I
So,
know
yeah.
about the AKC,
Yeah, so AKC.
It's like the top of the
yeah.
top.
That's
Yeah.
like when you're watching stuff like the Westminster Kennel Club.
That's what
like,
I couldn't think of this.
That's
Top of the
AKC.
top.
Like that's
Yeah.
that's
Right.
the top. That's the
So you
that's
have the
paradigm.
AKC,
Yeah,
and then
like UKC, CKC underneath that, and then you're starting.
Then you got
And then
ABKC,
you
you
get
got
ABKC.
BRC, you got
So can you
BRCG,
register-
You got IBR.
RBRC, you got a whole lot of
Yeah.
different.
you got a whole goddamn
Yeah,
alphabet too.
ABR, yeah.
Oh yeah, all the acronyms. man.
USBR.
All of them. USBR. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, oh my head hurts. Okay, so you have to be a licensed breeder, but to be a licensed breeder, there's a process that you have to go through, and at the end you have to test.
Right.
You already blew me out because I don't test no more. So but you have to test to be a licensed breeder, and that's when if I'm a buyer, that's what I need to know too. Are you a licensed breeder?
Well, I mean, just because they're not a licensed breeder, don't mean that they're not reputable. Don't mean that
Or
they
they're
don't have
breeding with
integrity.
Right.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
everybody's gonna go through the same.
Yeah,
same
because
process.
it takes a lot to become a licensed breeder.
breeder,
It's the expectations are really high. You go through a background check. They do credit checks. You have to have so many hours invested and take a state board test. So it's a lot into
Thank
that.
you for
So a lot of you have some good integrity breeders
right,
that are not licensed. And
Correct.
that's fine.
Right.
It does not mean anything.
correct.
Like some people have a better chance of selling a dog than I do, and they're not licensed. It's just people look for certain things.
Right.
The
And then
criteria
plus
is
two,
different.
And just because you're licensed doesn't mean you're reputable.
Oh, there are licensed drivers
Right.
out there. Doesn't mean they drive
Exactly.
well.
Right,
Because
right.
just like with anything
I mean-
else. So I'm glad you brought that out. So if you're licensed, cool, but that doesn't mean shit in the bigger picture because
Not always.
I still have kennels who are producing that are ethically following all the guidelines and standards and meeting those.
Right.
Whereas I can have someone who's licensed,
And
who's
meet
not
none of
doing,
them. They
and
just
then-
selling puppies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
You
they
have
do
some
is-
licensed breeders that don't meet those standards. At the time, it was necessary for me to get where I want to get today.
right.
Because at my age range, the demographic, everything, no one was doing it. So I had to go above and beyond to build that name.
Correct.
But now that the world is evolving, you don't have to do all.
Okay. Y'all made my head, but you made me understand, which I knew I wasn't going to be a breeder anyway.
The more you know, the more you know.
Right.
Now, if I were to get a French, or if I were to get I already knew certain characteristics. I knew about the personality. I'm not per se athletic. I mostly work in the yard, so I don't need no dog to run my ass. So I don't need an athletic dog.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to look at the dog's paws because if I want a lap dog, I don't get a dog that has huge goddamn paws, and so I don't need that. But then when you become a breeder, you've opened a whole new world, especially if you want to be reputable
You want to do it right.
and you want to do it right. So with Alabama Power Bully Connection, you technically have all of that under one umbrella, and you're there to help and to assist. But at the same time, if we see there's some lacking, we're going to
we're gonna let you know. Like,
I'm gonna let you know because
it's
it's
and help you.
right.
Get better.
Exactly. We're gonna offer you the information and then try to advise
It's up
you
to you
the
whether you
right
take
thing to
it.
do. You know what I'm saying?
And then with you having someone who knows a scientific part, especially when it comes to veteran, that's only adding to the information. And then you use the same vet with all the puppies.
Well,
And then with you having the knowledge, and so if I come to you that with this vet said this, you can pretty much tell me that, well,
yeah. Because really, you have some vets that really try to cash in on the breed too.
Yeah.
because
Right.
They
Oh,
know.
Yeah.
They know that how much money these puppies going for, so they'll tell you anything just to
To
get
get
you
a-
to
get
get
a
a
dollar out of
service. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you can go in there, my dog limping. They don't tell you your dog lives too long. They gonna go in there and say, we
No,
gotta give your
absolutely.
dog a shot and some pain pills.
Mhm.
That's gonna cost you about $350. When you can go just take your dog right to him and he gonna clip your dog nails.
Just like with Demodex, I have it all the time. People come in, my dog is irritated. The vet told me that I need to put it on this allergy pill. That didn't work. They put me on this diet. That didn't work. And I'm like, here's this Provecto.
Yeah.
Let me bathe your dog. Here's this Perfecto.
Yeah.
And then in 2 weeks, it's gone away. They're like, man,
What?
that's all I had to do. I'm like, yeah, the vet knew
$500
that.
at the vet.
Like, the vet knew that.
They gonna do
like,
that.
after they done got $1,000 out of you.
They're taking skin cultures.
Right.
And they're just trying to be
Oh,
like, what is this
and
dog
they already
allergic to?
know
Be
what
like,
it is.
Grass mites. And guess
Yeah.
what? One thing
So
treats
it's
for grass
best to
mites
have
versus other things.
a vet that you know personally and work with, because a lot, like you just said, a lot of vets they know we don't know. So if we taking any advice they give us, it's the same thing with your mom with the $1,000 in allergy pills.
Mhm.
It's probably something simple.
And you know what?
And your mom don't know.
Honestly, depends on how advanced the allergies are.
Yeah.
And look at that meds, because a lot of our meds are the same.
As
I
they-
found
So
that
your
out.
mom is probably giving her dog either prednisone or Zyrtec.
Mhm.
And she's
Benadryl.
probably paying, or Benadryl,
Mhm.
and she's paying
see-
them twice as much.
For the
Uh-huh.
That's
same
what
medicine.
one of the
Same thing.
Yeah.
one of the vets told her, that with the older dogs,
Mhm.
that we don't know who you've been going to, but what he's prescribed to you is basically Benadryl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Go get you.
So
Same
all you have
Get
to
that,
do-
that
ingredients.
Walmart generic breed
Right.
Benadryl for a
And so
dollar
Mama
bottle.
was like, "What?"
Right, and call it a day.
So the
Exactly.
vet said that you don't just go get you some Benadryl,
Yeah,
just half.
exactly.
So yeah, definitely do your research
And so
on exactly
Dad,
like how much of
Dad wasn't
human
as
meds to give them.
tactful as
Yeah.
Mama. So when Dad found out, Dad was about to go to the vet,
Yeah.
and Mom had to hold him back. She said, "No," and because
You see,
they were
cash
thinking about
in
all the
on-
money that he has spent
Exactly.
when you could have got the Benadryl. I left because he scared me.
Mhm.
And so just like he was saying, the medicine is the same medicine that humans take, but
Mhm.
because it's pet,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
it's more. Whereas you can pretty much go over the counter to CVS or Walgreens and get the same
Yeah.
stuff.
I
They
had
they
a
cashing
client-
in on you not knowing. You know
I had
what
a
I'm saying?
client came in last week actually, and he was like, "Well, they told me they had to give my dogs fluid. They charged me $400," and I was like, "Let me see the paper." I looked at it.
Mm.
I grabbed a bottle of, because they gave him Pedialyte.
Mhm.
I grabbed a bottle of Pedialyte. I was like, "Read this and read that." I was like, "So you just
Oh,
paid
hold up.
$400 for them to
Oh,
give
wow.
your dog
Pedialyte.
Pedialyte
Pedialyte
for a
Pedialyte
day?"
is your best friend. Pedialyte is your
Yeah.
best
I
friend.
was like, "So you
especially
just
in the hot
paid them
season.
$400
For something
to
you
keep
coulda
your
got out
dog
the
for
store.
4 hours
Yeah.
for some Pedialyte?"
And most of the time, 10 your dog was in a crate for 4 hours.
Yes, back there in the crate with they just put the Pedialyte in the water bowl.
Exactly.
Man, put some ice cubes in it and put it back there with your dog.
Exactly.
Oops.
So like I said, you got to watch your back both ways when it comes to this bully world.
Yeah.
The dog community, period. Yeah, because like I said, the vets they'll get
And that's
over
why I
on you.
left a lot of the vet clinics, because I was private contracting out to them, but I saw it was more of a money pitch, and
Mm.
I got into the career field because I had a passion for it. I had a situation at the last vet that I was working at that I actually saw them. That's the day that I walked out and quit. The lady, they told her it was mandatory that she had her dog spayed. It really wasn't mandatory. So the old lady borrowed against her life insurance
Stop
policy
it.
to pay $300 to get her dog spayed. And when I found out, I just got pissed off, grabbed my certification degrees off the wall. I was like, I'm out of here.
Packing the
packed
box
up
and I
I'm
left.
leaving.
Mhm.
Because
Oh my
That's
God.
crazy.
I felt like, what if that was my grandma?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're telling her it was a need for her to get her dog spayed. And honestly, she could have waited till they do like the wagons
Yes.
for $25.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
Oh, yeah,
y'all
there's
really
programs
just
in
had
place
this
for that.
old lady just break into her bank,
Yeah.
money that she didn't have,
Mhm.
Mm.
but y'all didn't care.
That's
And
crazy.
she was like a resident of Princeton nursing home. So her dog is
Oh,
in the
man.
nursing home with her. So
Yeah.
she's,
she ain't outside doing that.
yeah, it's a
Right.
retirement
Yeah,
home. So
yeah.
her dog is not outside. So it wasn't a need for
Right.
you guys to pressure her into
That's crazy.
getting the dog fixed. And she thought if she didn't get the dog fixed, the dog was going to die.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that was the
That's how they sell it to them though. That's
Mhm.
how they do them.
And so, yeah.
That's crazy.
And my mom, I told them, I was like, I quit. I was like, wait, you just quit? I was like, yeah, I'm just going to take my last check and I'm going to open up down the road. It's like, huh?
It's so funny though, because
It's
like,
like-
most parents would have been like, "Oh my God, what do you mean you just lost your job?" Huh?
Mhm.
But when you tell them why, like there's a sense
Yeah.
of pride in that. You're like, you know,
Right.
you stood up for something that was
Right,
and
right.
you did what was ethical, you know, and because you don't want to be, you know, affiliated with an institution or a
Right.
program or whatever the case may be
Mhm.
that isn't acting ethically,
Mhm.
that their conduct isn't becoming. So at that point, no, absolutely. Cheers to you, man.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta go.
Absolutely.
Because I'm like,
Bye.
if y'all are doing things like that, no telling what are you doing
Right.
underlying.
Exactly. That you haven't
What are you doing
caught.
behind those doors?
Right.
You know?
And it was just like, yeah, no.
Mm.
And I just felt like my integrity, I couldn't lose my
Exactly.
integrity.
And see, that's what it all comes down to in the bigger picture is your integrity, because that's really
Yes.
all you have. So when you get into this field, when you get into this profession, first of all, you have to love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were saying, it's not about the money; it's about the love.
Yeah. You do it right, the money gonna come.
Exactly. I
It goes right
appreciate-
back into your program. But
Right,
I mean,
Yeah,
right.
it's gonna
it's
come.
coming.
You'll
It's
see it.
still
You ain't gonna
right
see it for
in.
long, but
You
you'll see
can't,
it.
yeah. You can't like dogs. You have to love them.
dogs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though y'all made my head hurt, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you because this is what I want everybody to understand. Just like with any profession, you have to understand the assignment. You have to understand the process.
Mhm.
And you just seen the end results of what is being put out there. You don't understand the background information
Blood, sweat,
or
and
the
tears, yeah.
background prep. You don't understand the prepping before, during, and after.
Exactly.
And if you don't know who to go to, then you're out there by yourself. And sometimes trial and error is the best learning, but when it comes to certain things, it's
When it comes to
not.
life,
It can
you
get
really don't
expensive,
want
too.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yes.
So
trial
when-
and error becomes expensive.
So when you have this one organization that you have individuals with the same philosophy or the same beliefs and
same
standards
love, same passion.
and integrity, then you've opened it so that way people have a better understanding. Because like we was talking earlier, the bully has a bad reputation because they think of the pit bull. That's just part. That's not
Yeah.
the breed. The breed is a bully.
Mhm.
And plus two, it depends on the owner and the breeder.
Right.
Okay.
How that dog was bred, the environment it was in. Because I know a lot of people get dogs, and the kids don't really know how to handle them. Oh, it snapped at my child. The child is pulling on the dog's ear,
Yeah, what did you
or
say
on the
was
dog's
happening?
tail,
Yeah.
or pulling the dog's testicles. Like the dog can't say, "Ouch, stop that."
Right.
Mhm. So it turns around and uses the only method of,
If
communication
it's
it knows how.
communication that to get your child to stop.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, that's the biggest issue, and that's the biggest issue with pit bulls.
Right.
Because they're a working breed. A lot of people get them, try to put them on a chain and put them in. They
That's
get
not
bored.
working. Yeah,
Oh,
that's not working.
And when they get bored, they get destructive.
Right, and that's just like a child. They
gonna
get
break
bored.
out. They're gonna run around
start
the
doing
neighborhood.
stuff.
They're gonna eat your couch. My
Exactly.
personal favorite. Yeah, don't let them do
Exactly.
that.
Because
I had
it's a
dog eat
attention
table leg.
getter.
It was fantastic.
It's a
Because have
working
you
breed.
notice like kids that they get bored, they draw on the wall, shave their eyebrows off,
Right.
cut their
dogs
siblings'
have-
hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cut
Dogs
dogs
have
have
personal
everything. Yeah.
So, like you're sitting there, like you're pulling from life. For sure.
Right.
Your eyebrows off.
Exactly.
But you get what I'm saying? Like
It's
it's
bored.
the same
Nothing
way
to
with
do.
the dog.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
bored, don't have anything to do.
Yep.
Anxiety kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
So where can we find you?
Oh, me?
Yes.
I mean, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I mean, that's actually like how I met, these people. Like,
Right.
this is how I got into this was finding this community on Facebook. And DeJuan's been absolutely fantastic because he's been very, very proactive, and he's also been very open, and he promotes like a madman.
Right.
So if there's ever any kind of show within a 5-state area,
Right.
he's pitching it. So that way we all know, where it's at, when it's at, who's the host registry,
Right.
just so we know, what we're getting into. And, he also, we have bullies in the park, and that's that's sort of like a series of events that he has started. And so
Right.
like it's just getting our community together in basically any way we possibly can to support one another, to educate one another, to educate the community. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've been at, because we do several of these events at Railroad Park, just because
Exactly.
it's open, it's a central location. They're
Safe.
usually really receptive. Yeah, it's
Right.
safe. And, there are so many people that are not fully owners. They just so happen to be walking through the park and they
Exactly.
see our dogs.
Exactly.
And they're amazed.
Yeah, and they look at that.
Pit bull. First thing they say, pit
Yeah,
bull.
yeah.
So that's when the education starts.
Yep.
See?
Right there.
And it breaks the stigma about the breed. Because they
That's
see
it.
how calm they
Yeah.
are.
Like, oh, he's
Kids
just so
rubbing
nice
them.
for a pit bull.
Right.
It's like,
Everybody
well,
touching
he's
his
not a pit bull,
dog, and the
but-
dog ain't snapped at him.
Right.
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 You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like, I want one of these.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Amanda Jean Nixon
Mhm.
on TikTok? You on TikTok?
Oh, I'm not on TikTok yet. No.
Instagram.
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
Facebook. And
Facebook.
Instagram.
So
Yeah. Adonis actually has his own Instagram too.
really, Adonis?
Indomitable Adonis. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So Facebook
Facebook
and Instagram.
Uh-huh.
Amanda Jean Nixon.
Uh-huh.
Where can they find you?
They can find me on all social media platforms.
Cool.
Under Beautiful Barks LLC or Octavian OJ Walls.
And also, you're a pet stylist too.
Yes.
So you're out there.
Coldest in the city, man.
Yeah, I do celebrity
fried dye,
grooming,
lay it to the
yeah.
side.
Yeah, all type of. We do everything. If you can imagine it,
On
We
your
can
dog,
do it.
He can
Yes.
do
You're
it.
gonna turn your poodle into a dinosaur. It's
right. Like
fantastic.
we're gonna do different things. Like I turned
Yeah.
my poodle into Donatello because my little nephew loves
Really?
Ninja Turtle.
Oh, that's amazing.
So yeah, and then I did Michelangelo. So I do different
he
things.
cold,
I've
man.
done zebras,
He cold.
turn them into
He
zebras.
cold.
So I mean, it's something fun to do.
Right.
And like I said, it's just hey,
So you're on all
Yeah.
social media.
Mhm.
And under, what is it? Beautiful Bark.
Beautiful Barks LLC.
Beautiful Bark LLC.
Mhm.
And we know where to find you.
Yeah, man.
You
Yeah.
everywhere.
He's
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
Like I told you, he's
everywhere.
promotes like that.
Yeah, man.
So
You
you're
go
on
find
Facebook?
him. Yeah,
Facebook,
absolutely.
Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all that.
And plus two, you was it Butter has a page?
Yeah, no, Selena and Dez.
Selena.
have a page.
Selena
Yeah,
Dez.
Selena.
Selena
Selena's has a
Trust.
page on Facebook.
Man.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all.
Selena the Bull.
Appreciate
I
you,
appreciate
dogs to do pages.
because see this
That's why I
It's like-
stopped. That's why I stopped. After the second litter, I'm like, nah.
After
12
dogs.
12 pages, man.
Yeah, after
Yeah.
12 dogs,
Just
I'm
make
like, yeah,
one
no,
kennel
we
page,
can't do
you know
no
what
Well,
I'm
and
saying?
at this point, you basically you're like, oh, create pages for the dogs I'm campaigning.
Painting, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Which
Well,
the dogs
see-
you're taking to shows, trying to get them titled, trying to,
Mhm.
that are part of your actual breeding.
And then,
stock.
I do
Yeah.
more silent breeding
Mhm.
because I like to stand behind my breeding
There
when
you
it comes to the bullies. Because a lot of times people don't buy off of, they patronize
Mhm.
off of the dog, not
Mhm.
off of who.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
So a lot of times you have to be careful with that too.
Oh,
So that's why I lay
I just
behind the
said that on
scenes.
Facebook the other
Mhm.
day. Sometimes you
Yeah.
gotta hide behind your business
Yeah.
because
Because
the person might not like you, but they like the dog. You know what I'm saying?
Just
So
like
they-
any profession.
Uh-huh.
Because
Exactly.
a lot of people
Yeah.
like, oh, I didn't know that was your bully. I thought that was such and such. Or
Mhm.
I didn't know that was your dog. They only see him when I bring them out.
Mhm.
Right.
I
right.
don't do all the posting and stuff like that because of that. And then a lot of times people feel like, okay, well, you're grooming, you're doing this, you're doing that. When do you have time to focus on the breeding? But
That ain't your business.
every other waking
Exactly.
moment.
but you know what?
Exactly.
That's what my life consists of. My business as a whole. I hate to say it, but I don't have a life. Once I go home,
There's-
it's
Every
And see,
Yeah.
that's what
home
people,
dogs,
yes.
work dogs,
Yeah, you dealing with your
Sunday,
personal
like
dog.
yeah,
Right.
like
Mhm.
I'm never stopping. I don't have friends. People always like, hey, come hang out with us. Yeah, no, you're not gonna see me. I mean, if I can't take my
I'm the
dog
same way.
there,
I don't want to go.
That's it.
Yeah.
if I can't take my dog there, I'm not going.
And then one thing I had to learn about having a dog with you in public is less prone to be violent in that atmosphere because
Right.
people not finna run, shoot, and all that with a dog on a leash because you got to
Right.
keep up with this dog.
Right.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's
And
it.
then too, my dog's gonna sense it out beforehand.
exactly,
My
So
dog's
your
gonna tell
dog
me,
will let you
hey,
know,
we need to go.
It's time to go.
Because
Something to go
I
down.
learned that with I had cats,
Mhm.
and Bailey was very sweet and calm and all that. But a friend of mine brought somebody over. Bailey turned into this pot. I was scared to death. I've never heard
Mhm.
Bailey hiss
Mhm.
Oh,
or
yeah.
growl.
Yeah.
And I'd politely say, "Y'all got to go."
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
He walked in. Bailey went stupid. I said, "You
Mhm.
got to go."
Yeah.
So Juan called me about an hour later. I
Mhm.
said, "I don't know what's wrong, but Bailey never done that before."
Yeah, he wasn't right.
I said, "Now if you think Bailey's always come up to you,
Mhm.
hugging you, you always push him away." He said, "No." I said, "See, I don't know what's wrong, but
Yeah, you gotta
because
go.
Bailey
Yeah.
scared me because I'm about to leave my own place."
Right.
Yeah,
But people don't understand that. I tell people that all the time. Dogs are great judge characters.
Yes, sir.
Animals, period,
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
are a
Mhm.
good judge of character.
That's it.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Know you have a platform. Know that we're here for you. That's one reason why I wanted to have the series, so then that way you have different perspectives, a different understanding of exactly what's out there. Each kennel has its own personality,
Mhm.
has its own way. Now there's certain standards, of course, of regulations, of course. So if anybody says, we know there's certain standards you have to follow,
Mhm.
but when it comes to the kennel itself,
Mhm.
you have your own philosophy.
Yeah.
You have your own way of doing things by the standards. So
Correct.
that's what I wanted. And then this negative stigma, I hate. But anyway, this negative stigma that's out there, it just needs to be understood that it depends on the owner.
Exactly.
It's not the breed. And also with different dogs, you're going to have some type of aggressiveness because that's the way they're bred.
Yeah,
That's just part of the characteristics.
Yeah, they are
working dogs.
Working dogs.
Yeah, so if you don't keep them occupied
Right.
and working, then you're
they're
going
gonna
to
get bored. They're gonna get destructive.
So
See, that's the same way with Jack, my mom's dog, Russell. Hyper as hell.
What kind is he?
Jack Russell.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, oof.
Yeah,
They never come down to about
Never.
16 or
Yeah, I was about to
17.
say, yeah.
Never.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we've had
Even then they're
to
so sassy.
Right.
Still got an
raise
attitude
the
at that point.
fence because he's found with
Y'all
the
need to get him a
chipmunks.
weight vest. Y'all got to
Yeah.
get him a weight
That's
vest.
what
Yeah,
she
you
Y'all
know
she
get
what?
him a
got
weight
one.
vest,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
So we had to raise the fence. We thought it was raised enough.
for
Damn
a
thing's
Jack
a
Russell
little
Terrier, oh, y'all got
reindeer.
jealous.
He jumped
You're
over
funny.
trying to find a damn chuck milk.
Well, you know, a lot of the small breed dogs, a lot of people think they're just small and they're cute, but a lot of them are bred to hunt like small badgers.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So, like fox, rabbit, things of that nature. They still have that
Yeah,
natural
the instinct
instinct
don't
because
go
they're
nowhere.
still
Exactly.
You know, it's still a
Hundreds of
dog.
And
years
see,
of
that was the one
selective
question we
breeding.
asked her.
Yeah.
Mama, yeah, you,
Why?
You bought the wrong dog.
What did you do this for?
but we've seen that it's giving him more energy. But I've told him several times, let me tell you something. You run between my legs one more time and I fall, I'm killing you.
You're gonna get punted. You're gonna get punted.
But that's the breed
Yeah,
that he is.
Exactly.
And he's just
Exactly.
hyper all the time and jumping around all the time. I just look at him and I said, and this is what you got.
Know your breed.
Yeah.
You gotta know your breed. You gotta do
breed.
the research. The
But for
research is
older
so
people,
weird.
that is kind of like a perfect dog because it keeps them
busy.
active.
Yes.
You're right.
busy.
Yeah.
He's just
They're
got,
entertaining at that.
and then he's giving Maggie strength. Maggie's jumping all over the place. I'm not used to Maggie jumping. This old dog is jumping, trying to get in my lap, and I'm saying, you know you big.
Yeah.
You're not Jack. Jack can stay in my lap. You can't. And she has these
Yeah,
attitudes
they
I've
get
never
jealous.
seen.
They get jealous. For real.
Oh man, they do.
So I
They get
appreciate
jealous.
y'all. And yeah, I want you to know that, you initiated this, so everybody who comes after, you raise the standard, you raise the bar. So if they can't come with the same energy, we might let you back. But if you can't do what y'all have done,
Y'all heard that, right?
Right.
but I appreciate it because I know that you've taken time off and for y'all to come on. But know that you have a place, you have a platform anytime. So if you have any type of advertisement that you want, let me know. If you have a show or anything, just let me know. This is your home now. We're here for you. And I appreciate y'all. You know I appreciate
Thank you very
you.
much.
Appreciate
We
you,
appreciate you
for
for
real,
giving
man.
us a platform to actually
yeah.
come and
Because see, we didn't know about the DNA. We didn't know about that. And we really, when you really showing it, you have to have a stylist with you because there's a certain look that you want because you're selling yourself as well as selling your dog to the public.
right, or you get them clean before you go.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because you taught me that, especially with the socialization, that when you go to the shows, you have different smells, and if they're not used to the different smells,
Yeah, it'll freak your dog out.
Yeah, you got to stimulate them on the daily, and make
which
sure
only
that they're-
adds to them understanding that I'm never going to be a breeder.
Yeah, because a lot of people look at me crazy because every time you see me at the show, I'm gonna have two spray bottles. I'm gonna have a spray bottle with peroxide and water, and I'm also have green alcohol and an ice pack.
So the green alcohol is very important.
Dog
On,
cool,
yeah,
like from heat stroke and stuff like that.
yeah. You put it in. You rub their in between their paws and everything like that. It helps.
Up under their
Helps cool
arms.
off.
Yeah,
The boys,
they're under their
on their
arms.
nuts.
It's a rat.
And
Yep.
in their
Yeah.
and in their, yeah. I was gonna say in their
My bad,
testicle
sorry.
area. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that
all in
prevents
their
them from
private
overheating.
area.
Why do you do that?
It prevents them from
For
overheating.
overheating, because they can
Yeah.
have anxiety from being around dogs that never been around.
Yeah, it's not just
So
heat.
that's the
It's
reason-
literally,
Yeah.
And then
they
some of the
over-
bullies
Oh.
are bigger than others.
Right.
Because sometimes it's not a natural weight. Sometimes people, I call it cheating, like use a cheat sheet. They use different, like sterile
Yeah.
Really?
bases to make their
Oh, yeah.
dogs bigger,
Look bigger for the
which
show.
enhances, those breathing issues.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm taking this dog that's never been around people or other dogs in an environment. I already got him overweight because I forced it. And now it's going into a heat stroke or going into heat anxiety, heat prong. So I need to snatch my dog up, and now I got to run it to the vet.
Exactly.
Yep.
But when you have people like me on hand, like, hey, no, stop.
Try this. What you need right here.
I got you right here.
Yeah.
I got this right here in my pocket. I got what you need.
And this bitch, like I said, every time we go to a show, we have a show bag just for show things you need. Peroxide, Pedialyte, green alcohol.
I do that when I go to the park.
Everything, yeah. So
just about,
like,
it's just about every
bag. It stay by the door. We going out with the dog, just grab the bag.
And I always take an IV and an IV drip. Yep. It just seems like every show, I've only went to one show that I have not had to rescue a dog.
Sad. It's very sad.
But that's one reason why you have the show, to introduce the breed. So that way everybody will have an understanding that you have the bully umbrella. And under that umbrella, you have different types of breed or different types of dogs that we call that. Y'all made my head hurt, but I'm more knowledgeable.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there.
No, you won't. No. I already know that I already know about the French Bulldog. That's the only type of dog that I can't deal with.
Well, now,
I like
you
to
see
eat.
why I said it's evolving.
I don't want to be in competition with my dog saying who's going to eat. But I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all tremendously. You've listened to OZZz on Smash Bros. Radio. Make sure that you understand, you know your value, you know your worth, know that you are the one that controls yourself. And most importantly, know that I love you more than I love my luggage. Y'all take care. The live stream on the show. On the show. The live stream. On the show. The live stream. The live stream on the show.